Hello everybody, it's Denise here from Baby Lock, and I'm at 35th Avenue Sew and Vac in the Arizona area around Phoenix. And what's really cool is that they have our great Baby Lock sergers. The Triumph serger is my favorite. It's what I have at home. I stitch on it all the time. And we came out at Baby Lock with a brand new table. So what a table is the ability to have two machines in one with our serger. And what it does is gives you a flat space to sew on. So when we look at the serger here, you're going to see that when I open the door, I have what's called a knife cover. So I'm going to push down on the little piece here, and that's going to allow me to slide this off. This is our cover stitch cover. So it's a flat bed. It allows us to hem, do decorative, all kinds of things in a flat surface. But here I have that same flat surface that I can use with my overlock stitches. But what's really even cooler is I have the ability to add my attachments here. So all the attachments that fit on our Baby Lock sergers, like the fabric guide, and I've pulled it out, all of these will fit on those holes. Now, why is that important? Well, if you garment sew, you're going to want a certain seam allowance. So I can slide this to have that certain seam allowance that I'm looking to have, whether it's a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch. Attach this with the two screws that come with it to the tabletop piece, and now I can sew, and whatever it is I'm sewing will have the perfect seam allowance. And what's nice is I can get in here, this lifts up, the piece slides left to right, giving me the ability to line it up. Now that's for garment sewing we talked about. Well, what about quilting? If you know me, you know I'm a quilter. Chris Tryon made this beautiful quilt top, and it's entirely pieced on the serger. So you're seeing the front of it, but when you look at the back, you're going to see the beautiful 1/4 inch seam allowance that was achieved by changing this piece to be at a 1/4 inch. So it doesn't matter what weight of fabric you use, what threads, you can use all your fun decorative threads with this. So here, this is a wool 5/8 inch seam allowance, so this was slid over to the 5/8. Went through, has a perfect seam allowance of 5/8. Knit, you can do it with a knit 5/8. A lot of your garments call for a 5/8 inch seam allowance. Here you can see we have the decorative wave stitch a little farther apart. Here we have the decorative wave stitch closer together. So I have lots and lots of samples to show you how to do this. So let's stitch something here, send it through the machine, and show you how it's going to cut and sew. Okay, so our knife is in by the foot. I'm going to slide this. I have it set at 5/8 inch seam allowance, so we're just going to imagine that we are sewing a garment. It's going to cut and have a perfect seam allowance because of where we lined that up to. Now this is set up for what's called a safety stitch. So it's a little wider than 5/8 where that needle position is, but what we have here in this seam is a 5/8 inch seam allowance. So all of those that you saw me show are a 4-thread overlock, decorative. Oh, but wait, do you see that green in there? That green is a bias tape. So where the fabric guide is, the bias tape attachment to put bias on. So you can do decorative. It really sends things to a wow. Really fun. So it's finished with the bias piece and decorative stitching all at the same time. Got a couple other here that I want to show you. Think about if you were doing the ladder stitch. So the ladder stitch, you're folding the fabric. We don't want to cut. And we have a beautiful even stitch. The stitch size is the same all the way across, making a really fun plaid or harlequin plaid because it's diamond shape. Do you do pin tucks? Having the ability to have that flat table and move this to have those pin tucks really nice and fine. So again, this piece shifts depending on what size your seam allowance is. And the same thing with all the other attachments. They'll attach in either of the two holes. So your belt loop binder, your bias binder are the two back holes where we have this. The front holes are your knit attachments. And those are available for any of the machines that are the 8 thread, like the Triumph, the Ovation, and the table fits on both the Triumph and the Ovation. So be sure to check out the new overlock table. You'll definitely want the fabric guide and probably a few more little attachments to do some fun things. And if you're a piecer, know that we can piece on the serger with speed and a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Happy serging, everybody.